Okay, we're gonna talk about Cecil the Lion.
Cecil's such a sweet name. That's part of the problem with this.
Yeah.
If he was like Asshole the Lion,
Yeah.
if everyone called him Asshole or Baby Killer, same
Yeah.
animal,
Cecil sounds like a nice guy.
sounds like a cartoon. That's the problem with a lot of this, a lot of the attachment that people have to these animals is these animals are nowhere near them. They are beautiful. You watch them on television in a documentary, and they're amazing, incredible animals. And there's this anthropomorphization, I think that's the word, when you take an animal and you attach, I try to use big words that I barely understand as much as possible. But the idea is that you take an animal that has, normally it's just an animal, you attach human characteristics to it, like Yogi Bear and, the fucking, the polar bear that sells Klondike bars, that?
Yeah.
And we get this idea that there's something other than what they are.
Right.
If you were living in Africa and you were anywhere near these lions, you'd be absolutely terrified of them on a daily basis. They're ferocious, ruthless predators. And one of the things that's crazy is two things got taken down from me yesterday on Twitter. And I've never had that taken down before. I posted ridiculous, offensive things before. No one's ever deleted any of them, but Twitter deleted two of my things. And one of them was just an article on Gizmodo that was about conservation and hunting. And the first line in the article is that this guy, Walter, what's his name?
Palmer.
Walter Palmer is an asshole. They're like saying this guy's an asshole.
Okay.
This guy he's already had one violation for lying to a game warden about where he shot a black bear. He most likely did something that was unethical. But then the article goes on and talks about how conservation generates a significant amount of money for these areas in the form of hunting, or hunting generates significant amount of money in these areas, and that it is a form of conservation. It is a way they manage populations, and that all this money goes to these people there, and it's this incredibly important aspect of their economy. The other thing that I posted was a video that showed male lions chasing down and murdering cubs, which, by the way, Cecil definitely did.
Yeah.
Definitely did.
He was a 13-year-old dominant male. Guaranteed, if he came across any other prides that had cubs, and they weren't his, he's going to kill them. That's what they do. That's how lions protect their genetics. And a dominant male, that's how he makes sure he is a dominant male.
It's just the way nature has them set up. And it's not his fault. He's not a bad guy. He's not a criminal. He's a lion. And he's not Yogi the Lion or Cecil the Lion. All those, call him a name. Say, oh, but he had a collar on. You think he even knew he had a collar on?
Yeah.
He was a lion. He was just a lion.
And here's the thing. So we're doing this. We're delayed here in LA, heading to Brazil. So we have a little time. But people were wondering what, I was asked what my thoughts were on Cecil the Lion. Joe's been asked what his thoughts are on Cecil the Lion. So here we are. And number one, we want to say, or I know Joe is with me on this. If this guy Walter Palmer did anything illegal as a hunter, he needs to answer for it.
Yeah, if he poached, he needs to go to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an illegal activity for a reason, because those populations are very strictly and carefully managed, and that's important. And you violate that, it's just like any other gigantic law. I mean, he's a felon because of what he did, the violation of that law in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't know if he was charged with a felony or if they pleaded down. I'm not sure, but there was a violation there. And then with regard to this, my whole thing is hunting is about honor. It's a big thing about honor. If he was dishonorable in killing Cecil the Lion, well, he needs to answer for that. So that's number one. We just want to, we're not siding with anybody, but it's hard to say what really happened because all the facts aren't out. The media uses words like decapitated, lured. Well, when you bait, how you kill a lion in Africa is you bait them. And so I guess that is luring, no different than you lure a fish when you catch it. So it's kind of a hot word they're trying to use. And then decapitation, you have to process an animal when you kill it, deer, elk, whatever. You field dress it, and yeah, its head coming off is part of it. So we don't say we decapitate them, we say we field dress the animal. That's what they did. So I mean, wading through all the sensationalism it's hard to say exactly where we are with this.
It's just amazing how many people have jumped on it. I've never seen anything like this. And this new social media thing that happens when a hot subject hits Facebook or
Trendy.
Twitter. Yeah, just
Trending.
It trends, and then everybody jumps on board. We don't know if this is true because it's all over Twitter, but apparently deleted it if it is true. That Ricky Gervais posted that a lion is more beautiful than a newborn baby.
Come on. Come
What does that mean?
Yeah.
We should kill babies and not kill lions?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. I mean, what does that mean? Okay, I think flowers are prettier than dogs. Am I okay? I mean,
It's that's
what does that mean?
That's what we were talking about. People, this is such an easy thing to jump on and say, "Oh, it's so terrible this happened." And no matter how bad you are,
Yeah.
if you say this is terrible, you're better.
Yes.
Yeah, people are jumping on the bandwagon to bash hunters. I'm a hunter. Joe's a hunter. We're not bad guys. We do it right. We're respect the animals, respect the land, and it's just a way for people just to say, "Oh, I'm a good guy because I'm with Cecil." Cecil.
Yeah, social media brownie points is what it is.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
It's a weird thing that happens whenever something's in the news and you have an opportunity to stand up and say that, I am against this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I got people giving me a hard time because I didn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
They're saying your silence and this speaks volumes. I'm very disappointed in you. Like, look, I don't hunt lions. I'm not going to hunt a lion. I have no desire to hunt a lion. I want to hunt anything I don't eat.
Yeah.
I don't get it. If you want to do it, I totally understand it. If it's legal and it's ethical and the money goes towards conservation, one of the things that people have to understand is Africa is not the United States of America. It's not Europe. It's a very crazy place, and if you want to know more about it in depth, there's a fantastic Louis Theroux documentary called, I think just look up African hunting Louis Theroux. He's a documentarian out of the UK in England, and he had an amazing piece on it. It just shows how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Africa's a crazy place, and these animals, before they had hunting over there, a lot of these animals were on the verge of extinction. And now these same animals, because they have value, because people hunt them, now they're thriving. Their numbers are very high. Does that justify people doing that and going over there, and does it make it a good thing? Just for a balanced perspective, just to understand what it is. This is not New York City. It's not San Francisco. I mean, you're dealing with a really crazy place. And these animals, if you really truly do value them, you should be happy that their numbers are up.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a real catch-22 because their numbers are up so that people can kill them. It's kind of crazy.
Well, and where Cecil the Lion lived, lion numbers are either stable or increasing. So the population is there, and what it does in that country is trophy hunting generates $18 million of revenue every year. So this is the poorest country in Africa. They don't have an industry. Hunting is the industry there. They're very hard to make money for residents there. And so you say, well, and Sam on the Drew Carey show yesterday was kind of arguing with me a little bit about this, saying, well...
Dr. Drew, not Drew Carey.
Oh, Drew
Drew Carey's like, what did I do?
Yeah, no.
The price is right? What are you talking about?
Yeah, Dr. Drew, I'm sorry. But
I do that all the time, by the way.
she was saying that, a very small percentage of that $18 million stays there. Well, like I said, who cares? If it's 5% of 18 million, what is that, $900,000? That's a lot of money back there. I mean, when there's no way to make money. And where I've hunted in Tanzania, same type of thing. The hunting concession hires all locals, and they support their families, they support their kids, they send their kids to universities based on hunters going over there, helping manage a population, putting value on animals, and in turn, it gives them industry.
Yeah, and it really is, if you're perplexed by that and torn, it really is a confusing scenario to think that the only way that these animals can thrive is if there's value in killing them. I mean, it's a very much a catch-22. It's really, but that's like a lot of the world.
Yeah.
And if you want to fix that, I don't necessarily think that I think it's going to take a huge effort. It's not going to be a social media, I'm with Cecil the Lion.
No.
Standing with Cecil the Lion on Facebook, I don't think is going to fix what's going on in Africa.
No, what are you going to... I mean, most of these people are protesting, they've never been to Africa. Most of these people making these big statements, they've never donated money to anybody to help anything in Africa. So, I mean, just with lions are held in such high regard. There's so much value. There was a country, I wish I could remember it. I can look it up, but my phone's recording right now. But in Africa, that outlawed lion hunting. So they're saying no more lion hunting. That was in 2013. Well, this year they reversed that because with no lion hunting, there is no revenue for conservation. So the fact that lions generate so much money, they can help conserve all the other animals. Without lions in the mix, no money for conservation. So, nobody's wiping out lions. They're managing them. They're making sure the population's healthy. They're taking out dominant males that otherwise would kill cubs, screw up the breeding of everything. And that's just how it has to work. But without lions in the mix, it's just, it's tough. They are the money maker.
Yeah, and I'm really curious. I don't know what the people that are over there that are killing lions legally, how they feel right now. But they must be terrified.
Yeah.
Because it seems like open season on anybody that wants to quote unquote trophy hunt right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
the fever's in the air.
Yeah, it's lion hunting has always been. Lions are so majestic. I mean, so it's been a tough sell for anybody to try to justify lion hunting.
Yeah.
And lions, you don't eat lion meat. You're taking out a particular, in Tanzania, they want, and I think it is the law, they want to kill 6-year-old or older lions, so they're out of their breeding prime, and they can't have a pride, because if they have a pride, that means they have females and cubs. If they have a pride and you take that lion out, another male comes in, kills the cubs, and then so the females come in heat, and then it wants to breed them. So the objective is, and everybody I've ever known has been like this in Tanzania, especially Ryan Shalom, who I was over there with. But if you can't find a 6-year-old or older male lion by itself, you're not hunting. That's it.
Another interesting point that you had is that this lion, supposedly they shot it with a bow and arrow. This is the story that's out there. They shot it with a bow and arrow, and then 40 hours later they found it and shot it with a rifle.
Right.
But they didn't find it on the wildlife preserve.
Right.
So the idea is that what we're being told is that this animal was lured away from its home in the preserve, and then it was shot with a bow and arrow, and then they shot it with a rifle 40 hours later. If that animal was wounded and in danger of dying, it would have gone back to its home.
Normally they do. Normally, if you kill a deer, it's going to go. If you shoot a deer, it's going to go, and it's wounded, it'll go back to where it's comfortable. And so if he was truly comfortable back in the park, and that's where his home was, it seems odd that he didn't go back there when he was wounded.
I mean, it could be that he was too wounded to travel that far. But if he was still alive 40 hours later, it seems a little odd. The other thing that's also a distinct possibility is that he was already pushed out by a new dominant male. Mm-hmm. And if that is the case, he doesn't have cubs. Everyone keeps saying this thing like his cubs are going to be killed. Cecil has cubs. If he's already been pushed out by a dominant male, his cubs are probably already dead.
Yeah,
they probably already were killed before this ever took place.
Right.
And that happens.
Yeah, and that's just real life.
That's just real life as a lion.
Everybody, like I said, Sam yesterday on Dr. Drew, she was saying, well, do you think his cubs will be killed if he had them? And I was like, well, if they're his and he's out a new male, yeah. She's just like, I'm going to start crying right now.
Meanwhile, those cubs, they're going to be killed by another lion,
yeah.
And he's killed cubs. All those lion cubs that live to maturity, they're going to kill cubs.
Yeah.
They kill cubs. It is a part of being, and we're insulated from it. We see lions at the zoo, and we see lions on television, and they are amazing. They're beautiful. They're spectacular, and we're truly fortunate that they're alive today. We're really fortunate that we get to see these incredible animals that, if they didn't exist, they would be creatures in a movie. They would be like a creature in Avatar. I mean, they have a giant mane of hair, like a 1980s rocker.
Yeah.
And huge muscles and roar. I mean, they're majestic. They're one of the craziest, most beautiful things that nature has ever created, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But they are wild.
They're killers.
They're murderers, and that's what they do. And they, infanticide is a huge part of being a lion.
Mm-hmm.
They kill cubs all the time, and it is just a natural cycle of life. There's no altruistic lions that are out there that spare the cubs. Doesn't happen.
No vegan lions.
No vegan lions.
That's just us humans.
Yeah. This whole thing is sparked up an interesting debate and a conversation about hunting and hunting for conservation. And I think in that sense it's good. And I think there's a lot of people that have very strong opinions about trophy hunting and about the mentality behind it. They think it's like a sociopathic mentality to just want to kill things and stuff them on their walls. That's a very interesting debate. It's a very interesting subject of what is the motivation for people. Why do they want to do that? Especially when it deals with things like poaching. Because if you're a person that's killing something and it's not based on sound conservation and population control, then you're going against everything that's good about hunting.
Yeah. No, hunting is the best management tool. As we said, it puts value on animals. It's good for conservation. I mean, if you look at, in the model in the United States, it's different in Africa, but the model in the United States has been very successful. I mean, we have more elk than we've ever had.
More deer than we've ever had. More deer than when Columbus was sailing.
Well, but they need to be managed. I was hunting grizzly in Alaska, and up there's so many grizzly that you can kill 2 grizzly and 3 black bear a year in Area 16 of Alaska. And people were like shocked. They're like, grizzly? You can kill grizzly? I thought they were an endangered species. And I'm like, well, yeah, at Starbucks, you're probably not seeing a lot of grizzly. But up there, hey, they need to be managed, because if they're not, what happens is the bear population gets too high, the moose population declines, because bears, when moose are going to calf, which means they give birth and drop a newborn, bears are following right behind, and they kill the newborn and eat it, because that's just prime meat. That's like a hors d'oeuvre for them. So too many bears, they're killing all the moose, and so you need to knock those bear numbers down. So that's just how management works. And you got professionals, fish and game biologists, that's their life. They care about it so much. They went to school, they studied it, they're impassioned. They want to make it work, and so they help fish and game issue tags. We as hunters pay money. We are stewards of the land. We get up there, we're active in conservation. Hunters are honest about where their meat comes from. We're killing animals, we're filling our freezer, putting it on our dinner table, and we're not insulated like a lot of people out there who are laying judgment on Cecil the Lion and this Walter Palmer saying how bad hunters are, lumping everybody in together. Hunters are honest about where their food comes from, at least.
Well, they certainly should be. And the other issue is, when you talk about population control, there's areas of America that have huge population problems with wild game, and it's not being taken care of by vegans. PETA's not out there fixing the issue. Michigan has more than 40,000 car accidents a year with deer. 40,000 a year. I mean, it's insane how many deer there have to be, where 40,000 of them a year get killed by cars. Yeah. And a lot of people die from that. Yeah. Matter of fact, a guy died near town really recently.
Right, yeah, no, got, hit a deer, or in a neighboring lane, a deer got hit and it flew up through the windshield of his van, killed him. This 37-year-old guy. So that's what happens when the population gets out of control. That's why hunters are needed to be out there making a dent in that. And
unless you want to bring lions over here to kill the deer, because that's the only other. That would be the quickest way for people to hate lions.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, lions start killing your kids, killing your dogs, killing people, and that's a real part of Africa. That is why they have a very different attitude about lions over there than we have over here.
Well,
because we're looking at them, we romanticize them, glorify them.
It's not realistic. I mean, you go over there, talk to the people over there, live over there, and then you can have an opinion. We have it. God, it seems like we have it so good here. We have to find the cause of the week.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that's
there's a
what
lot
it
of
is.
people out there that love taking that moral high ground.
Yeah.
And look, if this guy does turn out this guy's a poacher, that's a terrible thing to do. He's an awful person.
Yeah.
And it seems like he has done that before. I mean, he definitely was in trouble for violating the game laws, and was it 2008, I believe it was, for lying to a game warden. I mean, that if he's lying, that means he was doing something illegal, and that goes against the whole. That's a selfish thing to do, you know, to decide that what you want is more important than the laws.
Yeah.
The laws are pretty strict, and for people who aren't aware of it, game populations in this country are very carefully managed. It's probably one of the best government organizations that we have, is the wildlife and game management organizations that we have in America. They do an amazing job. Fish and Wildlife, all throughout this country, they do a fantastic job of knowing exactly what the populations are and how much they can take and how much we need to leave.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's not for anti-hunters who really don't know anything about it to weigh in on, in my opinion. I mean, and the anti-hunters who got on my page and, you know, spewed their hatred, they're always vile, they're always cussing. It's like, I don't know any hunters that go on anti-hunting pages and just stir things up. But, you know, I just think there's a lot of uneducation out there, and, you know, hunting is necessary. That's all there is to it. And I don't know, I just, you know, even watching Jimmy Kimmel the other night, he started his whole monologue thing. He took shots at hunters, which I didn't really like. I mean, obviously he was upset about Cecil the Lion, whatever. But he says, you know, he has no problem with hunting if it's done right, if it's done for providing meat or for population control. Well, you even have to kill lions for population control. I mean, dominant males need to, you know, out of the breeding time need to be killed. So it seems like he's, you know, I don't know, I just not kind of uneducated, but making a big opinion about it.
Well, there's a lot of people that are taking these really quick knee-jerk reactions and they're running with it because it gets them, again, those social media brownie points.
Yeah.
When you say things that people find, like, it's not good to kill people. Yes, everybody agrees. Black Lives Matter. Yes, everybody agrees. You know, gay marriage, pro-gay, yes. And you put that stuff on your Twitter and everybody, like, thinks you're an awesome person because you believe in worthy causes. But some of those worthy causes need careful consideration. And especially when you're anti-hunting. I think you have to look at it from a very balanced perspective. Everywhere you look, I mean, this is not talking about hunting lions, but anyone who's anti-hunting, every restaurant you pass is filled with the meat of animals that were killed that lived a far more horrible existence than any elk steak Cam's pulling out of his freezer. It's just if you love animals and you want people to be able to eat meat. I mean, if you're one of those people that thinks that no one should eat meat and everyone should be vegan, I don't know what to tell you. But if you love animals and you think that people should be able to eat meat, you should be pro-hunting. Because it's the only humane way to get meat. It's the only humane way. They live wild lives. They would live the same wild life if people never existed.
Yeah, no, it's true. And, you know, I do want to say that yesterday, Dr. Drew's show got a hold of me. I was down there. I was going to appear on there. I was going to be the voice of hunters. I was in the green room, and you know, it just.
I cockblocked it. I called him up and I said, "Don't fucking do it, man."
He did, and you know, I was talking. So they said, "Well, you're only going to have a problem with Sam." This is, you know, one girl on there, one woman on there. You know, they said, "Would you want to meet her?" And she's an anti-hunter. She's a vegan. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'll talk to her." So I was talking to her, and we were agreeing on a lot of things. Then the producer didn't like that because he's like, well, he wanted you guys to hate each other. But anyway, at the end of the day, she seems fine. She's, you know, I didn't watch the show because I was traveling, but they ended up talking about Cecil the Lion, and they, you know, probably threw hunters under the bus, and I wasn't there to be the guy they threw under because, you know, of Joe's. I asked Joe for advice on it. He's a Hollywood guy, you know, so
you can't. They don't care. It's not. They're not looking for a balanced perspective. They're looking for these 7-minute sound bites in between commercials. And if you have an important point you haven't got to it, we'll be right back. And they cut to, oh, we found the wreckage from the crash. And then the next thing you know, they're not talking about it anymore. I think that in this day and age, now that we have things like this, like you can make a YouTube video or you can do a podcast, you can get your full opinion out there. And if you and Sam sat down on a podcast and talked for a couple of hours, I bet you would understand each other much better. And I bet there were some things that maybe she could say to you that you would illuminate her point of view. And I bet there's a lot of things that you could tell her that would better explain the position of hunters in a way that I bet she hasn't heard before. Because a lot of people that are anti-hunting, they don't really know a lot about it.
Right, exactly. Well, and that's what she said. She says, well, you're not a trophy hunter, are you? And I said, well, who makes that call? I said, you walk in my house, you're going to see a lot of heads on the wall. I said, does that make me a trophy hunter? She's like, well, but you have the meat too. And I said, yeah, of course. I got everything. I have a grizzly hide that just the other night I was cold in bed. I threw that grizzly hide over me in bed. So I mean, I'm using the meat, the heads up on the wall for memories. I got good photos. I got hides. I use it, but I do have trophies. So am I a trophy hunter in her eyes? I don't know. She seemed to give me a pass because I was eating the meat.
Well, you're also right there, and you're talking to her as opposed to on social media where she might call you a vile piece of shit and fucking block you or retweet you or tell people to hate you. I mean, I don't know if she would do that, but a lot of people do that when you're reaching out to someone through a computer or through a phone.
Yeah.
It's a terrible way to communicate with people because it loses the whole human element. There's a lot of people that I've disagreed with, but I've sat down with them and had great conversations with them because we're two people and we can be considerate.
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with everyone on everything, and you don't have to agree with me.
Yeah.
And that's part of life. It's kind of interesting to hear different points of view.
Totally.
And sometimes, I mean, many times with me, people have changed my mind.
Yeah.
They've illuminated things that I might not have been aware of, and now I have a newfound respect for whatever that subject is. Yeah. And I think with hunting, we are so soft in this country. We live in this country where, and most of the civilized world, where you can just go to a grocery store and buy your food. So our idea of what a piece of meat is so convoluted and watered down and distorted. There are meat eaters out there that are angry at hunters.
Yeah.
That is just damn stupid, because when you look around, we're at an airport, all these big buildings and jet planes, and we didn't get to this stage of civilization without figuring out how to kill animals. We just didn't.
No.
It's the only way this happened. If we never figured out how to kill animals, they'd still be killing us. We'd still be living in the jungle, and we'd be fucked.
Yeah.
And that's a very unfortunate reality. But if you enjoy civilization, and you enjoy even the ability to be a vegan, you got there because your ancestors were successful hunters.
Yeah.
That's a fact. It's an uncomfortable fact. Well, my ancestors were also slave owners.
Well, people, and I've heard that too. And then they say, well, but we don't need to hunt now.
That's not true.
They have. You can go to the store and get meat. Well, that's such the detachment you're referring to. But an animal still died from that meat.
An animal died in a way worse way.
It is. And as a hunter, I have a lot of pride in going into the mountains, killing an animal myself. I know how it lived, packing that meat out on my back and processing it and putting it in my freezer and then on my plate. There's a lot of pride that goes into that. My kids know that that's happened. They understand the circle of life, totally get that an animal has sacrificed its life for us to eat. And I think that's important.
I think that's very important. If you want to look at reality through a clear lens, you have to be aware of all these things that are going on. For someone to say you don't need to hunt anymore, well, you're going to have to figure out what to do with all those wild pigs and wild deer and moose and elk and mountain lions and bears and all the things that live in North America. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, someone's going to have to figure out a way to deal with them.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're going to have way more problems all over the country like they have in Michigan with the 40,000 plus car accidents every year from people hitting deer.
Well, the fact is, if you're not going to kill a deer, somebody's going to need to, and I'll do it.
I'll do it.
I think Joe will do it.
I'll do it. We need to eat them. They're delicious. Look, it doesn't mean that they're not beautiful. It doesn't mean I don't see. I don't hunt in my yard. Okay, but I have deer. I live in the suburbs, but I have deer in my yard all the time. They are beautiful.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the mountains and I'm looking for them, they're still beautiful, even though you're going to hunt them and kill them. It seems like a contradiction to people. It doesn't seem like those two things are mutually compatible. But you could look at an elk and it could be the most beautiful creature in the world, and you're excited about killing it.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about. I didn't like that Jimmy Kimmel said something about if you have a hard enough time getting an erection, you have to go kill the lion. It's like, come on.
I don't think it gives you an erection.
No, come on.
I don't think killing a lion.
That's just retarded. It's just trying to get a rise.
Yeah.
No, trying to get a rise. No pun intended.
Yes.
But I mean, it's just that doesn't even make sense. That's just taking a cheap shot at hunters. That's
well, he's
not
a
what
real
it's about.
animal lover, and he really was crying. But I don't know if he's a vegetarian. I don't know if he's a vegan. I really don't know. but I don't think Dr. Drew is. You know, I'm pretty sure he's not. And if you're eating meat, the animal that you're eating lived a life of torture. Unless you killed it yourself, unless you were there and you pulled the trigger or you released that arrow, you don't know. You don't know what you're eating.
No, they live a pretty miserable existence, and
Very miserable.
Yeah, I mean, they have no life. Their life is basically for us. Just they're a food source, and that's it. Whereas the deer, elk, bear, lions, they're out there living life 100%, and until, if it so happens that we outwit them on a hunt, and they make it onto our backs and then back to our freezer, they lived a life.
Yeah, the shameful reality of most meat eaters in this country, and me included, because I eat cheeseburgers still, is that we're contributing to one of the most awful things that people have figured out how to do. That's factory farming. It's one of the most cruel and vicious things that anyone has ever done. And unless you believe in some sort of strange hierarchy of animals, even Cecil the Lion lived a better life than that chicken sandwich you're eating.
Yeah.
You know, the meat that's in that cheeseburger came from an animal that lived a life of torture.
Yeah.
You know, and no one's eating Cecil the Lion. The guy is just bringing it home as a trophy. I mean, he's just stuffing it. But our treatment of animals in this country is pretty shameful. The animals that we eat in this country, especially, they are treated in a very horrific way, and it's shielded from most people.
To me, that's what should be getting the attention. I mean, to me, hunting is honorable. Yeah, there's going to be bad things. There's bad in everything. There's bad eggs, or people make mistakes. It happens in every single thing. So yeah, hunters aren't perfect. We're not impervious to that. It happens. But hunting is far more noble than factory farming. So if you want to jump on a cause, do that. If you want to help Africa, send money to Africa. If you're worried about, the people over there, or you ask. Well, he was in Zimbabwe, where Cecil the Lion lived. If you ask most of the people in Zimbabwe what they think about Cecil the Lion, they would have no idea what you're talking about. What's Cecil? Who's Cecil? But if you want to help them, send them money.
I read this thing that said that Cecil the Lion was loved and that he loved people. Like, what are you, like, how did you even write that? He loved people. How did he love them? Did he like them cooked? Or did you like to catch them while they were peeing? Did you like to get them while they're going to the river to get water? How did he love them?
I don't know. I didn't, I've seen some photos, I guess, of him in video. I mean, he's a badass animal. I never saw him interacting with humans, so I don't know.
Here's another problem. Everyone's saying that this lion had a collar and that he should have known it. Well, have you ever looked at a lion? And I'm sure you have. They have a giant mane of hair, and it would be incredibly difficult to spot that GPS collar unless it's some really obvious way of displaying it. And the only way they would do that is to make sure that hunters don't mistake that lion. But in the photos that I saw of them, I didn't see that. When you're looking at a lion or any animal that you're trying to kill, it's usually a few hundred yards away when you start your stalk or when you try to close in on it. And unless you're real close to it, you're not going to see that collar.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what this collar is. I know you can put a chip in your dog. You're not going to be able to see that. So I don't know if that was how they tracked it.
I think it's a collar. I think it's an act. Because I have seen lions on internet videos that have a collar.
Are they?
But female lions, you can see it. But a male lion, I don't know how. I don't know how well you'd be able to see with that mane.
Well, and I did read something else about the same park where he came from, or the reserve, that they had tracked, I think, 40-some lions, and 23 of them, or 20-some odd of them, had been killed out of the park. I mean, lions cover a great distance. Yeah, in the park, out of the park. And so the fact that he was lured out or whatever, I mean, lions move. So if 20 other lions had been in the park and got out or walked across, I don't think there's a fence or anything like that. They just walked across the boundary, and then they were open game. It happens. That's it's no different than Yellowstone here in the States. Elk go in and out, and if they're out of the park, they get killed sometimes. If they're in, they're protected. So that's just the way it works. So to make it sound like it was some, I don't know, diabolical act. I don't know. I haven't seen evidence of that.
We don't know,
Hard to
but
say.
it could be that that's what the guides did because they wanted this guy who was paying them to be successful.
Yeah.
They knew there was lions inside that area, and they figured out a way to get those lions out by dragging that meat around. It is possible. We don't know.
No.
But the problem is everyone that's so angry and jumping to conclusions, we don't know how much of the information we're dealing with is accurate.
Yeah.
That guy has not been found yet. As of, well, we're making this right now. What's today's date? The 20-something? What is it?
I'm not sure. Oh, 29th or 30th?
Yeah, the 30th. Today's the 30th of July. While we're making this video, they don't even, I mean, they don't even know where that guy is.
No, I know.
You know? I mean,
I think he's hiding.
Yeah, he's hiding. So they literally have no idea where this guy is, so there's nothing they can do.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to address the Cecil the Lion, give our opinion on it. So.
It's my opinion is that there's a lot of people that are jumping on this because they think it's the thing to do. His business, his Yelp reviews have been bombed.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's destroyed. If you just wanted that, if you wanted a trophy hunter destroyed, congratulations, you're successful. I mean, there's video on CNN right now. They're protesting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's wars going on right now. People are dying all over the world. There's all sorts of real problems in the world, and they're in front of this guy's dental practice protesting about Cecil.
A lion.
And one of the things that said, "I am Cecil." There was a sign. Someone's holding a sign saying, "I am Cecil." No, Cecil's dead, and he's a lion, and you're a guy, and you're in Minnesota. You knucklehead.
Man.
It's what it is it's a weird moment in our cultures. We're learning how to use social media.
Yeah.
We're learning all the power and all the impact that it has. And in a lot of ways, it's good. It allows people to do this. It allows us to talk about it. I mean, the same thing that it's allowing everybody to jump on a bandwagon also allows you to release this kind of a video.
Yeah. So it's good. It's just, it's very powerful. And, what happens, it seems like a lot of these things are, here today, gone tomorrow type thing. It's the cause of the week. It's sad that I guess this lion that everybody knew got killed. If it was killed illegally, that's too bad. But we have a lot of problems here in the United States we could probably deal with and spend a lot of energy and all the time and money we've dedicated to this. We could probably keep it here and make a bigger difference. And
when that woman who was the video editor from the Game of Thrones got pulled out of her car in Africa and killed by the lion, no lions protested that.
No, they didn't.
There was no lions in front of Wendy the lion's house.
No.
It was like, Wendy's an asshole. She killed that editor. That's my favorite show.
No.
People are very strange. And it's good to have compassion, and it's good to care, and it's good to, but there's not a lot of real, careful, objective, nuanced thinking going on with this. This is a bit more of a complex subject than people are leading on, especially since we don't know all the facts.
Yeah, a lot of knee-jerk, emotional responses.
Yeah, and again, if this guy really did do everything that everybody said, he's a bad guy, and they'll probably arrest him for poaching. If he really did poach, that's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But understand that right now there's someone else from America hunting lions. Not just one person, but probably hundreds and hundreds of people right now are in Africa from America hunting lions, and you'll never hear about it. And they are contributing millions of dollars to conservation. And by the way, they'll be there next week, and they'll be there 2 weeks later, and they'll be there next year, and it is a big part of what keeps the economies alive and healthy in these areas, like it or not. And if you don't like it and you want change, I think it may be on you.
Yeah, no, and it's I don't know. And a lot of those hunters you just mentioned, they're gonna be doing it right. Most hunters do. Most hunters I know do everything right. They want to do it right. Like I said, there's honor in it, and this is an unfortunate thing, but it doesn't mean all hunting is bad. All hunters are bad. So that's basically.
That's it.
I think that's what we wanted to say.
This would have never happened on a Dr. Drew show. You've been cut off 50 times. Sam would already be crying.
Yeah, she would have.
No disrespect to her or anybody that has his opinion. we want to, I think it's a very complex subject. There's some black and whites to it. Poaching is bad. That's a very black and white thing. But the subject of quote unquote trophy hunting, I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in killing lions. But it's a long conversation. It's not a short conversation.
Yeah, not simple. All right, that's what we had. Keep hammering.